And that would do it. Welcome back into our NBA TV studios for post-game coverage, including coach and player press conferences from Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm Kristen Ledlow, joined by our Jim Jackson, our Hall of Famer, Kevin McHale, and Coach. The Heat have taken a 2-0 lead, overcoming, yet again, a double-digit deficit, 17 this time.
That's why no one should listen to Jim Jackson and me ever again on any prediction. And so that's all I'm going to say. But
this is on you guys.
After saying that, I will say zone defense became like Rubik's Cube to the Celtics. They couldn't figure out. They were throwing the ball in the third quarter to the Heat as much as they were throwing to each other, and they could never figure out that zone. And I tell you, Bam Adebayo in the third quarter changed that game. Rolling, smart, getting in open spaces, nothing spectacular. Just all dunks and easy putbacks and stuff at the rim, but rolled so efficiently, got effectively in the spots, and they just completely outplayed the Celtics for 24 minutes.
Jim, as Coach mentions, Bam Adebayo in that third quarter, 15 points alone, and the Heat outscored the Celtics 20 points in that quarter. How did the momentum shift so significantly after halftime?
Well, first of all, I got taught to respect my elders, and I follow behind Kevin McHale on that pick, so I'm not going to say anything about that, K-Mac. I'm going to let that ride.
He was bad at predictions. He did say that before the game.
And you know what? And I said I'm not good at it either. Evidently, we both were right.
You were right about that.
That's right. But Kevin said this. Look, the zone defense, but not only that, it was a full court press that didn't allow Boston to kind of get into rhythm. So it slowed them down, and then they fell back into the zone defense. But the zone defense itself wasn't it. It was that Eric Spoelstra putting long wing players at the top of the zone, which took away a lot of the passing angles. Great adjustment defensively. Offensively for Boston, they figured out a way in-game adjustments at halftime to say, let's go back to the pick and roll. Let's force Boston to have to rotate and figure out, do we take the drive away on the turn of the pick and roll? How do we roll to Adebayo falling down the lane? And if they do that, now you have open shooters on the perimeter. So excellent adjustments at halftime by Eric Spoelstra to exploit offensively what they could do. More importantly, they took away the momentum of the Celtics defensively.
Well, let's take a look.
Yeah, Jimmy, one quick thing.
Go ahead.
Kristen, just to piggyback off Jimmy, the Celtics were killing him in the paint. The man-to-man defense, they were breaking them down. Earlier, I thought in Game 1 they shot so many threes without breaking the three-point line. It's for the first half, the Celtics were in the paint, attacking them. And as Jimmy said, great adjustment at halftime by Coach Spoelstra to not only to go zone, but to put the wing players up high and just get big and long. And like I say, early in that game, it was just Cantor had a great just little run there. He had 8 points in a few minutes, but they just lived in the paint. And boy, that was all taken away in that second half by the Heat defense.
Again, overcoming a 17-point deficit in that second half to take the 2-0 lead in the Eastern Conference Final. To your point, Coach, we have those final plays that led to the Miami Heat win here. A 19th Boston turnover leading to another late game Jimmy Butler defensive play.
Defensively, he had 3 or 4 deflections in that last 3 or 4 minutes of the game and was just everywhere. And man, the guy defends so well. What do you do? He's just kind of all over the place.
Goran Dragic.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. Jimmy Butler doesn't get caught up in scoring because he wasn't shooting the ball offensively that well. So he didn't allow not scoring the basketball to take away from what he does well overall, especially on the defensive end. And that's the mark of a very intelligent, high IQ player, understanding time and score and when to take advantage of that. So instead of holding his head down and saying, well, I'm not making buckets, I'm not playing well, what did he do? He made an impact on the defensive end. That's maturity, that's being a pro, that's being one of the best players in the league.
You're right, as he was only 4 of 11 from the field, and yet when we think about this game down the stretch, we're going to think Jimmy Butler. Here he is with Rachel Nichols after the game. The Miami Heat saying, for those of you who are new to this, just vibe to it. One of the best scenes in an incredible movie. And they're not wrong. The hashtag winning. Coach Jimmy says after the game, and I'm not hugely surprised coming from a guy who shows up at 3 a.m. for a 10 a.m. workout at the Heat facility to start this season, that they like making it hard on themselves, that they like kind of adopting that underdog mentality.
Well,
I'll
they
be the
had
first
to,
one to tell
right,
you.
Ken?
I never.
Go ahead.
JJ, you got to ask a question. Jay. Did you ever show up at 3 a.m. for a 10 a.m. practice?
That's a full day's work early. I'm going to guess no.
No.
No, I never even thought of it.
I might have been just getting in at 3. I don't know.
Now, that I believe. But, Coach, are you buying it that the Heat operate well within that mentality that says we'd rather be down and dig out of a deficit?
Yeah, of course you'd rather be up, I think, than getting down. But they are just a team that's just so resilient. They just keep fighting. And Coach Folstra has done just such a good job with that team.
Well, let's hear from him.
It's not going to be easy for either team, and it wasn't. Both teams are laying it all on the line. That's the way it should be.
Bam's third, Goran's fourth. Again, we've been saying all year with your group, it doesn't have to be Jake. It doesn't have to be this guy. It can be multiple guys at various times in the
Yeah.
game. Just how luxurious is that right now?
Well, Boston was really getting us on our heels in the first half, and I don't think anybody was in any kind of rhythm or disposition defensively. And a lot of it was them. I mean, they were backing us up and everything. So I think Bam, really set the tone in that second half, along with Jay. And then our reserves came in and really gave us a boost defensively. That just took some of the pressure off of our offense. But Bam, was really assertive in the pick and roll. And that kind of loosened up some things, for us. But, games are long, and you just have to figure out different ways to impact winning. And Bam, he understands that. And Goran, their defense is really good. It's really good. They can flatten you out, and sometimes that's what is needed. For some games, you just have to create something out of nothing, and Goran was able to do that down the stretch.
Ira Winderman.
Eric, the return of the zone defense and staying with it even when there were some rough spots. Was that something you tweaked along the way, or is it the usual just do it better and you guys did it better?
I don't know. I have to look at the first half. There wasn't much that we liked about what we were doing defensively, man or zone. I know everybody wants to talk about a scheme. For us, it's disposition, it's effort, making tough plays, making multiple efforts, regardless of the scheme. And we were more committed there in the second half.
And then Duncan's play today, and again, you always tell us, you just know, keep shooting, it'll come around. How heartening it was to see the start he had to lift not only his confidence, but the entire team's confidence.
Yeah, and his routes were very assertive. So whether he's making shots or whether they're chasing him off, that's critical to our offense, and it opens up other things. It gives us a little bit more variety to our menu. Yeah, he was much more aggressive without the ball. He was burning more calories for sure.
Rebecca Harlow.
Coach, yeah, Jimmy Butler was bringing the ball up the floor a lot in the fourth quarter there. Not only was he creating for himself, but Goran still hit some big shots. What did you like about putting the ball in Jimmy's hand late in this game?
Well, he's been effectively our point guard all year long. When Goran was coming off the bench with that starting unit, Jimmy had been our point guard or point forward or point two, whatever. It's none of the positions really matter anymore. But the ball's going to be in his hands one way or another, or if it's not going to be in his hands, it's going to be some kind of action with Goran. We're not giving up any trade secrets here. We know that, they know that, and you guys have to make plays. Jimmy only had 14 points, but boy, was he impactful. I mean, obviously that steal at the end and the deflection, there's just not many guys in this association that can make each of those plays at the top of the zone and then at the back of the zone. Just great plays.
Mark Spears.
Coach talking about just thoughts at halftime and what Bam did to start the guys.
Yeah, and we were all disappointed. you know. But again, like you get to the conference finals, it's not all about you. You know, Boston had a lot to say about how that first half was going. I'd love to say it was just us and us going through the motions or anything. No, that was them putting us on our heels. And then, you know, we started to attack the game a little bit more in the second half and get control of it.
Anthony Chang.
So there were some rotation tweaks in the second half. What did you like about what Eric gave you there in his 9 minutes in the second half?
Yeah, you know, he stays ready. You know, you just never know what's going to happen in the playoffs. We've already seen it, you know, so far. You know, things happen, foul trouble, you know, minor injuries, and Dre wasn't able to go in the second half, and Derek has been keeping himself ready. He knew that he was going to be utilized, you know, at some point, and he kept himself ready and gave us really good, active, energized minutes. I think that inspired some other guys as well.
What was it, the ankle for Andre again, or something else?
No, just a tight back.
Thank you.
Will Manso.
Smo, I know what you're saying about, you know, two tough teams and this is the way these games are, but you're 10-1 in these playoffs and your team somehow finds a way. What is it about this team? You're down 17, you're down 13 and a half. All these games, no matter how they play out, you find a way to win.
Yeah, I don't know if you can point to games in other series and see that there's a trend. Each game is different in the playoffs. Each series is certainly different. This, just the feel and complexion and the competition of this series is much different than our last series. So we can't even compare that. This team, yes, the guys have grit, but you also have to do things, you know, well, and you got to make some shots at the end and get some stops, and we were able to do that tonight.
Nick Friedel.
Bo, to follow up on that quickly, you've said all along how much respect your group has to have and has for Boston. But where do you think the mental toughness comes from your group, day to day, game to game?
Yeah, I don't know. Our guys have shared values about competition, and there's a repetitive humility about how tough it is in this league and how much toughness you need to bring, you know, on each and every given night. That's probably all I have to say on that.
Dan Wojcicki.
Yes, Phil. I know you said obviously everybody was disappointed at halftime, but you guys had, I think, maybe 2 minutes stretch before
Yeah, that was an important stretch.
and there was this, Boston had a chance to score, you guys got stopped.
Yeah.
That seemed like a great win.
Well, we felt a little bit better. It felt like we were down 30.
Let's get to Coach Brad Stevens live.
Guys were emotional after a hard game, hard loss.
Tim Bontemps. Brad, what happened in the third quarter?
We pulled apart and we didn't play well. And they did a good job. You know, we're not beating this team if we're not completely connected on both ends of the court. So got to get back to being that, which we've been at times, but right now they're a better team, and we're going to have to fight to get back into this series.
And to follow up, what was it a similar thing that happened down the stretch after you guys got back up 5 late in the fourth?
I mean, I thought that once we did that, we were really playing pretty well. Dragic hit the 2 hard contested shots over Tice, one of them at the very end of the shot clock where he threw it in. The turnovers obviously hurt, but we did a lot of good things in the last 7 minutes. We just, you know, shot ourselves in the foot in the third.
Ryan Robb.
Brad, you guys seem to play pretty well against Arizona in game 1, but seem to have a lot of trouble against it in the second half there. What needs to improve there? Was it something that they're doing, or what's your take on that?
I mean, it's a hard zone to play against. We did play well against it in game 1. We played with way better pace than we did tonight. So we'll go back and look at it, figure out if it was a technical thing or a pace thing or an execution thing or just a not as focused on the important stuff thing.
Jared Weiss.
On that zone, we saw when Grant was in there late, he was screening and then rolling to fill that open space in the middle of it. Did you want the offense to stick with that, or did you want your perimeter guys, to have more room to attack down the middle?
Well, if you pop against the zone, you're popping into the defense. So you've got to present a threat at the rim and make the guy in the middle play multiple guys, shrink the bottom in. I thought we did a good job attacking to the corners on several occasions. We missed shots, or we drove it, dumped it to the roller, and he just missed. But Adebayo had a big part of that. This isn't about zones and defenses and offenses and stuff like that. We just got to be better.
Question in person, Gary Washburn.
We're going to have to do some cleaning up tomorrow. It's a lot of sleeping because there's definitely frustration. We're going to have to get a nice day off. We're going to have another meeting to figure some things out.
Oh, of course. We do that after every game.
John Corrales.
Brad, you only played Kemba just about 34 minutes. You didn't get him into the fourth quarter until about 7 or 8 minutes to go. Was that a response to his struggles late in the past few games?
I wanted to try to give him as much opportunity to play fresh at the end as possible.
All right, we'll wrap it right there.
Thanks.
One thing I've been talking to a lot of my friends about 3 teams that are playing right now. The Lakers, you see the Heat, and also the Nuggets. They always talk about how close they are. That's all you hear. I'm not saying that Boston is not, and that means something. In particular this year in the bubble, when you spend a lot of time around each other, and that closeness allows you to get through some droughts, some downfalls, some disappointments, some things that are not going well in the game, and you see them continue to respond, and that's the difference. So for me, it's probably frustration of not being able to finish the game the way you're supposed to when you're the Boston Celtics, and that's what you see from Marcus Smart.
Coach, you, not only as a Celtic, but as an NBA head coach as well, how do you take a moment like this, an emotional loss like this, and turn it around?
Yeah, sometimes, the emotion that you have in the locker room is a good thing. Sometimes people have to air some stuff out. A lot of times things need to be said. And sometimes in locker rooms, depending on who's the coach and who the team is, a lot of stuff gets glossed over and it just hangs right below the surface. And then an event happens and all of a sudden, man, all that stuff bubbles up to the top. So maybe they're talking about how the hell do we have 20 turnovers against that zone? Yeah. How the hell are we moving the ball side to side, hitting the middle and getting some damn movement? And why are people holding the ball? And, and hey, look at when Bam Adebayo's rolling, why the hell is the weak side? I mean, there's some stuff that needs to be said. I will say one thing about having an implosion this late in the season. I like the implosions early in the season if you're a coach or a player. You get that stuff out of the way. It's either going to be a great game 3 for the Celtics, or if it's as volatile as they're saying it is in that locker room right now, or they'll fall apart. I don't think you can have this much emotion at this time, and you're playing every other day and not have it affect you one way or the other. Hopefully for them, some things got called out. Some people said, hey, man, this is how you got to play, and it'll be better. But it's going to be one way or the other. You very seldom have something like that happen, and it's just, everything's just normal. That's not the way it is.
We also can't totally dismiss the potential that the walls are just thinner down in the bubble, so maybe this happens more often than we think, and we're just able to hear it this time. Well, the player press conferences are going to continue now that we've heard from both coaches. As Playoff Center Live, presented by AT&T 5G, continues, Bam Adebayo will take the podium.
Joel Embiid is
really unhappy
because the internet keeps using old gifts to react to his highlights. Mountain Dew presents the Joel Deserves Better gift collection.
Now I'm so happy.
We're back at the Corona Hotline Show with Paul, who auto-drafted his fantasy team this year.
No, it was great. I let the computer pick the players. I just had to open a Corona.
Paul, you obviously know nothing about football, but you do know how to win the draft party.
Call in now to find your game day beach. Robinhood believes now is the time to do money without the commission fees, so you can start investing today, wherever you are, even hanging with your dog. So, what are you waiting for? Download now and get your first stock on us. Robinhood.
At Domino's, we're delivery experts. So when it comes to carryout, our team members had a few thoughts on how to make it even safer and more convenient.
Deliver it. Deliver it.
Delivery. Frisbee it. So we went with what we do best. Delivery. To your car. Introducing Domino's Carside Delivery.
Yep, truck's perfect.
We do the carrying out for you, contact-free, while you conveniently stay in your car.
Thank you.
Just pull up at the store, check in online, and we bring your food to you. Try Domino's Carside Delivery next time you carry out 3-topping pizzas for $7.99 each.
I do what I want when I want it. I'ma celebrate this feeling. Watch me while I break the ceiling. Yeah, do it right, 'cause I'm a diamond.
Did you know that you can shop online with a virtual consultant? Ask about special financing with a Diamond credit card.
Okay, I'm up. 5 more minutes. Break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar.
We can't say what comes next. But at Ford, we know one thing for sure. We'll be building. A lot's changed, yes. But doing what's needed is what we've done for over a century. We get through any problems we face with the strength to outlast them. Ford will always pivot to do the right thing. For us, that's building for who and what matter most. Built for America, built Ford proud.
GM School, powered by SAP, is in session. In Episode 1, their NBA knowledge will be put to the test.
Let's go with Contract A.
And they'll use data and analytics to craft a championship team. Thursday, October 1st at 9 p.m. Eastern on NBA TV. Playoff Central Live is brought to you by AT&T 5G.
And the shot chart is presented by Kaiser Permanente. We're looking at Bam Adebayo's chart, who had 15 points in the third quarter alone. He finished with 21 and 10 on 10 of 16 from the field. Let's go ahead and hear from him after the game.
Hey, Bam, this sort of reminds me of that seeding game against Boston where you sort of bided your time and then you just sort of shook off, especially in the third quarter, to get like 7 dunks to 15 points there. Was there a point where you just sort of said to yourself, it's go time? Sort of what triggered that Bam Adebayo we saw in the third quarter and then in the second half?
Coach came up to me in the third and was like, I need all defensive team Bam. And from there, I had to start it on defense, and then my offense started flowing with it. So, I give credit to Spell.
And then how much easier does it make it when a guy like Duncan is getting outside early and really sort of opening the floor also? That sort of yin and yang thing. Thank you.
It's just, me and Duncan kind of feed off each other, man. He gets he gets going early, and then it opens up lanes for me. And if they crash, easy sprays the dunk because he hot.
Tim Reynolds.
I like that shirt.
This has not been a two-game thing. You guys have had an ability to come back all year. Have you figured out if there is something about this year that just leads to the opportunity for this?
We got grit. That's about all I can tell you. We got grit, man. I'm happy to be on this team with these guys because, everybody in here has a different story, but we all come from nothing, and that's what's beautiful about this team, man. You put guys that came from nothing together, and they have a vision, and we just trying to foresee that vision. But we don't want to keep doing that. That is not our goal to keep being down 12 or 13 points. Yeah, even worse. We don't want to do that.
Becca Harlow.
Yeah, two-part question for you here, but is this what you expected? This team has come out, you guys have gone 10-1, you've been the most successful team in the playoffs here in the bubble so far. And on top of that, describe the confidence that there is on this team when you can come out and have a third quarter the way that you did, and then the way Butler can step up in the way that he did late, or Duncan or Tyler, or, it goes on and on and on with who can come up with big plays.
That's the thing about this team, man. You never know who's going to have a good night. Going into that second half, everybody thought I was checked out, except for the people in our circle and on our staff and on our team. They just keep telling me, like, it's go time, turn that switch on. And I turned that switch on in the second half.
And then just to follow up on that, with your team being 10-1, is this what you expected?
To win?
Just to be where you are, the success that you've had coming into these playoffs.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We didn't come into this playoffs just to say we got there and then, it's that. We came into these playoffs trying to win a championship. And that's the main goal. Make the main thing the main thing. Everybody wants to win a championship. We keep stacking these wins, and hopefully we get to that. We'll get to that point. But right now, 2-0. We gotta keep stacking these W's.
Anthony Chang.
Hey Ben, I know you guys have been on Jimmy, especially you, to be more aggressive offensively at some points in the season. But tonight he made an impact without scoring much. What is it about him where he doesn't need to shoot the ball, he doesn't need to score the ball, and he can still have an impact down the stretch like he did tonight?
We all trust each other. I was having a rough first half, and I'm in my head. I'm thinking about other things, and my teammates kept talking to me. So we just gotta have trust in each other, and I feel like Jimmy has trust in us to make plays and do our thing, and he knows when he got to get in that mode, and he did that without scoring tonight, and he knew that. He did it with defense.
Mark Spears.
Mommy clock.
Going back to Miami, played this rock, and Isaiah no more goal. What is your mentality where you're going home, but you're not going home, but you have a nice 2-0 lead?
Man, that 2-0 lead don't mean anything. We got to finish the job. That's bottom line. And we got a good balance of players. So you got young players who they're eager to, who are happy to be up 2-0, and then you got the veterans who've been up 2-0, and a team has came back. So we got a good balance of guys and experience to shut that water off and just focus on every game.
How about the
Will Mansell?
Hold on.
Bam, you can't touch.
Hold on real fast. Say it again.
The environment in which you're not going to get the advantage of going home and trying to do this. Just trying to do it against
At this point, that's when competitive nature comes out. You don't got the crowd. You don't got a lot of family, and you got your team. So your team brings that energy. You bring that energy, and that's how we're chipping these wins, man. I feel like I said it from the beginning, and I feel like the Miami Heat are built for the bubble.
Will Mansell.
There you go.
Hey,
what up,
man,
Will?
There were a couple. How are you, man? There was a couple moments where it seemed like you either got tripped or kicked or pushed while you were trying to get away from the defender. Did you sense that? Are things getting a little extra chippy there? Was that just the spirit of competition, or did you notice some moments where things were a little chippy, I guess?
That's just competition. At the end of the day, nobody's going. Well, I feel like nobody should be able to, push you over or do something and get away with it. But, that's just bringing the competition out of everybody. It might get a little chippy in the game. You feed off of that type of energy.
Zone is nothing new for this group, but obviously worked incredibly well tonight, especially in the third quarter. How is it affecting Boston, and what is it about the zone that's working so well in the series so far?
I feel like the zone is just giving us active hands. Everybody's on a string, and that's what it thinks. And the thing about zone, you got to communicate, and that's what we love about zone. It makes us communicate, and we was getting our job done.
Kemba Walker led the Celtics effort with 23 points and 7 rebounds. Here he is.
Oh.
I'm on both right now. Guys, there were reports of yelling in the locker rooms and things being thrown. Marcus obviously exited emotional. Can you just kind of speak to that scene or describe what it was like?
It was nothing. It was nothing. I ain't got much to speak on about it.
Tim Bontemps. Kemba, what happened in the third quarter?
Man, they outplayed us. They outplayed us. You know, it's really unacceptable on our behalf, man. It was just a really bad quarter for us. You know, we didn't continue to do the things that we did to get us up and get us that lead. You know, I think we got kind of comfortable, and those guys, they took great advantage of it. They played hard. They played really hard. They played a lot harder than us, and they wanted it.
When you guys got back up by 5 late in the fourth quarter, they went on another big run to turn the game around. What happened there, and how do you guys have a third quarter like that and that end of the game after the way the fourth quarter went in game 1?
I don't know. You know, we fought our way back, but just a lot of mistakes, man. You know, we make too many minor mistakes that really hurts us. We gotta clean that up, in order to beat these guys.
Adam, from the spot.
Kemba, with things getting kind of emotional after the game, what do you kind of have to do as a leader to make sure things don't go the wrong way, and you kind of keep everyone together and bring everyone together?
It won't. Ain't nothing happening in the locker room. I don't know what you're talking about, to be honest. We'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Brian, Rob.
Yeah, but their zone defense seemed to give you guys a lot of issues there in the second half. What do you guys need to just do better against that to get better looks?
We're gonna watch the film. We're gonna watch the film. But we gotta find a way. That's really it. We gotta get into the lane and just make plays.
Jared Weiss.
There were a bunch of plays where you had 3 guys under the rim on defense and the ball would go up for a rebound and you guys would be staring at each other and then someone from Miami would fly in to get the rebound. How do you guys have to communicate better to just make sure you get those defensive rebounds to prevent those huge second chances?
That's on us. That's on us. They do a great job at flying in. We just gotta do a better job at getting on their bodies and preventing those guys from getting in the lane. When the ball goes in the air, we gotta hit some bodies.
All right, we'll wrap it up right there.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Jimmy Butler had 14 points on only 4 of 11 from the field, but key defensive stops down the stretch. Here he is.
Tonight, I was just talking to Spo. I asked him about putting the ball in your hands in the fourth quarter, how you were able to create, how Goran still hit some big shots. He said you guys are basically positionless at this point. But what is it that you love so much about having the ball in your hands late, the way that you were able to impact the game late tonight?
I just think it's the way that we work on that every day in practice, and we've been working on it all year long. We've got comfortable with Goran having it, with Bam having it, T Hero having the ball, and myself. So I think we're all comfortable in that position, and we like whatever we get out of that.
And just to follow up on that, to your point, you're saying that the ball can be in any number of guys' hands. Where is the confidence level of this team right now?
It's high. We believe in one another. We know what we're capable of, and I think that's the part that's so fun when we're out there hooping. We get down at times, but we never hang our heads because we know if we play the right way, we give ourselves a chance to win. So with these group of guys, man, it's always smiles out there on the court.
Jeff Zilligan.
Goran, Bam, Jay, Tyler, DJ came in and played some big minutes. We just never gave up. We started guarding the way that we're capable of. Rebounding the basketball always helps to make shots, don't get me wrong. But I think all in all, we didn't give up.
Dan Wiki.
Hey, Jimmy.
I see you.
You guys are down 17 at the point. I think it's a 4-0 run in the last minute. It seemed like that was a big stretch for you guys to get 3 or 4 stops. Did you feel like that little tiny stretch could settle things down a little bit?
Definitely. You know, they got a lot of guys that can put the ball in the basket and get into that paint, and then you're spraying it out to their shooters. I think we just finally decided to make multiple efforts, get our body in front of them, and then close out. You know, in this league, against this team, you got to be able to do some difficult things. We weren't doing it at first. We started to do it, and turned out well for us.
Nick Friedel.
I mean, you guys have all talked about the culture and what it's meant to the group. Do you think that kind of culture can be taught over time when you come to a team, or do you think the kind of mental toughness that you guys have has to come from within each individual guy?
I think Coach Pat and Spo do a good job of picking those guys, so they already got it. Somehow, some way, they already know the guys that are going to fit in here. And to tell you the truth, to fit in here, you just gotta care about winning. That's the number one thing. Try to win in that championship, and we got a group of guys that want that night in and night out every single day. There's only one goal in our mind, and that's to win it.
Anthony Chang.
Hey Jimmy, I know you guys have run zone throughout in different spots throughout the season, but how do you think it worked tonight against Boston, especially in that third quarter?
It was great. We got what we wanted to get out of it. You know, they'll go and they'll study it and come back better, but we'll make adjustments as well. I think we're really good in that zone because we have guys that have long arms and can get in the passing lane. I think we just got to do a better job of rebounding out of it.
I know a lot of it comes down to what happens on the court, but you've played for a lot of different coaches. What makes Eric Spoelstra so good in these playoff situations, where he's able to make in-game adjustments like that and for it to results to come back so quickly?
To tell you the truth, he trusts his players, everybody out there on the floor, and as much as he's commanding us on what to do, he's always asking, "What do you see?" Whenever you have a coach like that, and he knows that we may see the game differently than he may see the game, it helps. So he puts a lot of trust in us to let us go out there and play basketball the way that we think we should play it. But I mean, he just works. He studies the game. He makes everybody feel comfortable, man. And hell, I'm glad he's my coach.
Mark Schwartz.
Jimmy, you made 3 defensive plays in the final 3 minutes tonight that were really complex athletic plays, keeping your body in bounds on a couple of them, throwing the behind-the-back pass. Tell me about the mindset that goes into being in the right spot, first of all, and then being able to finish the play rather than just break it up temporarily.
I think Spo is always preaching to me to just impact winning. Every single day, every time we talk, every time we speak, it's how are you going to impact winning tonight? And I think I did that on the defensive end. I think Goran and everybody else did that on the offensive end. But my job tonight was to guard, play those passing lanes, keep the energy level high, and do what I can to help win. So, you know, you make a play on the ball, keep the ball in bounds, and then my teammates will handle the rest.
Brendan Tobin.
Jimmy, you guys have talked about always one that elusive for 48 minutes, but you have gotten very good at building away into these holes. What is the mood like on the team? I know you guys aren't afraid to call each other out. What is the communication like when you aren't playing up to par and feeling like you got to climb out of it and get right?
We look each other in the eye and we tell each other when we're on some BS. Spo do it, Jay's going to do it, Tyler's going to do it, Duncan's going to do it all the way down the line because it's unacceptable. We know whenever we're not playing the way that we're supposed to be playing. And as bad as it sounds, it's like a switch. It just turns on us up. There we go right there. So I'm telling you, it's straight-faced communication, move on and get it done.
Clay Ferraro.
Hey Jimmy, I know you talk about him all the time and you talked about him tonight, but what more can you say about Goran?
He's a winner, man. That's my guy. Zoki and Gogi to the day that the world ends. That's me and him. It's our nickname together. And I'm glad that he's on my team. He's so smart. He doesn't care about stats. He just wants to win. And I think everybody overlooks that. But he's huge, and he has been all year, and making sure that everybody's in the right place, everybody's comfortable, everybody has the most confidence that they can play with on the floor. And he's our leader. He is.
Tim Reynolds.
Jimmy Graham said that at halftime he needed to push the reset button or something, so he thought his mom. What's that to say about where this kid is and what he's come from to get him to this level?
He knows what makes him tick, what makes him go. He knows why he's playing the game. You know, Spo always says, what's your why? He gets it, he understands. He knows that we need him to play at an extremely high level in order for us to be successful. He's an all-star, all-defensive player. He's everything for us, to us. And for him to know, like, okay, I got to do this, that's why he's another one of our leaders. What's my why? My people. You know, I'm here sacrificing what I'm sacrificing for my family. But we're gonna bring him a championship. So that's my why.
Mark Spears.
How do you guys keep, now you're the underdog from the Warriors, people believe, how do you guys keep that with this 2-0 lead and this mentality?
We haven't done anything. We haven't. We can't get excited that we're up 2-0 because as good as it is to be 2-0, it could easily be 4-2 Boston. So we're going to come into it the same way, knowing that we got to be better. I knew it beforehand. I knew it. You know, I'm watching film of these guys. I'm seeing where these guys are coming from, and I'm like, yo, look, they like me in a lot of ways, which is good because I know how I would talk to myself, so I know how I can talk to them. I know what I would expect out of myself, so I know what I can expect out of them. And they're just some good dudes. They just want to win, man, and I'm here for that.
Wes Lammy.
Jimmy, you talk about obviously just having fun with this group and you guys love playing the game of basketball, but that defensive impact, obviously, with the last moments of the game winding down, how much fun is that on that end of the game?
That's what it's about. That's what wins championships. Defense does that. And, you know, Bam played great defense tonight as well. DJ came in and did that. We was, you know, taking charges, getting on the floor for loose balls. That's how we're going to win. You know, we have to make it a tougher game. We're gonna have to get it out of the mud, as we say, because on a talent level, I think Boston has that edge.
Brandy from ETV.
Hey Jimmy, in the second quarter you guys played a little flat. In the third quarter, ignited and outscored the Celtics 37-17. What was said during the half to get the team going?
You didn't have to say anything. We already knew. So, you know, coach didn't come in there yelling. He just came in there and was like, hey guys, glad we watched the film, but there's nothing to say. We know it, you know it, and let's go out and act upon it. So we decided to go.
Live is brought to you by AT&T 5G.
Ultimately, the third quarter determined the outcome of this game. The Heat outscored the Celtics by 20, 37-17, 16-8. The differential in points in the paint. The Celtics did lead at 1 point by 17 points, and Jason Tatum did help lead the Celtics effort with 21 and 5 rebounds as well. He's at the podium now.
Start with Chris Ryan.
And Jason, there's been reports about what happened, you know, in the locker room tonight and Marcus becoming emotional. What were your takeaways from that, and is all good coming out of it?
I don't know who said that. I mean, we 0-2. I mean, we frustrated. But, I mean, that's team sports. You're not supposed to be happy we down 0-2. But nothing out the ordinary. Just talking about the game. It's cool. Gotta get ready for the next one.
Tim Bontemps.
Jason, what happened in the third quarter?
They outplayed us. That's a long story short. They outplayed us.
And then down the stretch, you guys got back up 5. They wanted to take a 17-6 run to close the game. Was it a similar thing there? And how do you guys have that happen after the way the fourth quarter went in game 1?
Yeah, that's tough. Offensive rebounds, some key turnovers, miscommunication. They hit some big shots. Yeah, I mean, a lot of things went wrong. But I get ready for the next one.
Adam Himmelsbach.
Jason, you only attempted 2 3-pointers. What are the challenges, I guess, in finding looks against the zone, and what do you have to do to kind of free yourself up to get more opportunities next game from beyond the arc?
I think just being ready to shoot, obviously. Just shoot over defenders any daylight I get. I think I turned a couple of them down, which I shouldn't do. So that's on me.
Question in person, Gary Washburn.
Jason, what happened after the game? Was that necessary? Did y'all need to get that out?
What happened after the game?
I mean, just the arguments inside the locker room.
I mean, what happened after the game? What happens in the locker room? We got to stay in the locker room. It's not supposed to come out here and talk about, what we talk about as a team after a win or a loss. That's why we go in the locker room and talk to each other. But whether we win or we lose. So, I mean, that's that.
What happens tomorrow? Either it seems like you go up, respond, or go down, and kind of give in. How do you guys approach tomorrow and the next week?
Got to figure some things out. 2 times now we've had a couple double-digit leads, and we've let go of the ropes. So we got to figure out why that keeps happening, and just be prepared to win the next one. Not looking at we got to win 4 out of 5 or 4. How many we got left? Just win the next one. Just take it one game at a time.
Abby Chin.
Jason, a lot of talk about their zone defense. We've seen you guys break down the zone. We know that you know what to do. Why is that scheme giving you so much trouble?
I wish I knew. I mean, I got to look at the film. But you got to have better spacing, I think. A lot of times we just weren't in the right spots. And whether against man or zone, that's not going to help. You always got to have the right spacing in order to create good movement, create a good shot. When your spacing messed up against a good team, good defensive team, it's tough.
Final couple of questions, Jared Weiss.
You mentioned the offensive rebounds that they were getting. There were a few you've been dominating the last 4 quarters lately, but there were a few plays in this game where you and the team were kind of looking at each other and didn't go up for the ball. Miami went up for the ball this guy. What are the communication breakdowns there? How come it's not everybody going up for the ball the way it's?
Yeah, I mean, that's on me. I didn't rebound nearly as good as I normally have been. And you can't expect other people to get it. You just got to go up there and get it or tip it to somebody. So, yeah, rebounding, I got to take ownership on that. I got to rebound way better than I did tonight.
Final question for Jason, Brian Wellman.
Jason, you guys have seen a lot of zone, obviously, against Toronto and in this series. What are the challenges Miami presents with, just their length and athleticism that's different from what you guys have seen before?
Similar to Toronto, I mean, they're great team. Great defensively. They long, they help. So like I said earlier, we just gotta be in the right spots. Whatever we're running, spacing is key on offense. And tonight, I don't think we did a great job of that. I think that was apparent watching the game. Fixable. So just get ready for the next one. Take it one game at a time.
All right, we'll wrap it up right there. Thanks, Jason.
The winning performance is fueled by Gatorade. In Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals, it belongs to Goran Dragic. He led the Miami Heat with 25 points on 10 of 19 from the field, including 3 of 7 from deep. The team faced a 17-point deficit to come back and win it. Let's take a look at the series schedule, as Game 3 is 2 days from now on Saturday, as we've been used to seeing, but then Game 4 is scheduled for next Wednesday, giving the teams some added time in between. Those games are going to be on ESPN. So guys, before I let you go in this last couple of minutes, I want to ask you about adjustments for Game 3. Jim, let me start with you. If you're the Miami Heat looking to take a 3-0 series lead, but also looking not to dig yourself a double-digit deficit in those first 3 quarters, what needs to change?
Well, it's just, you don't want to get down. I mean, that's the key, because it takes so much energy, even though they've been able to do it, to fight back in. So it's the little things. It's the defensive intensity early in the game, which a lot of times is tough to muster up. But that's the heart and soul of this Miami Heat team, is when they're locked in defensively, they create so many opportunities to get out on the fast break, to get some easy layups, to thwart what their opponent wants to do. So they'll tweak some things, especially early in the first half. I thought individually, defensively, they got broken down, which is why in that third quarter we saw a lot more zone defense out of the team, out of Eric Spoelstra. And even in the fourth quarter, when Boston got back in the game, it was when Miami chose to go to man-to-man defense. So that's the adjustment that's going to have to be made by the Heat, is containing the dribble and not allowing those guys from Boston that can really beat you off the dribble to just break you down, get inside, and get some easy layups.
Coach, how about the Celtics, a team that lost a 14-point lead in Game 1 in the fourth quarter, a 17-point lead in Game 2 in the third quarter, and now we're hearing about some, what could I call it, explosive conversation in the locker room? Is that the right way to put that? Post-game, what do you need to see in these next couple of days prior to Game 3?
Well, first of all, you just got to rebound. You got to win some one-on-one battles. You got to get some loose balls. You can't have 3 Celtics standing around and 1 Heat guy come in and get the ball. A lot of little things that you've got to look at and show it on film and just say, look, they're outworking us here. They're outworking us here. They're outworking us here. Now, we can take care of that. And then there are some technique stuff. I just think Jimmy made a good call when he said the Heat had put a lot of their bigger wings up. They put Butler up at the top of the zone. He was up pressing up. They put some of their longer guys up at the top of the zone. So the attacking from the top down may not be there. You might have to get inside the zone. Might have to attack from the sides a little bit. There's some technical things they can do. The Celtics can against that zone, but you've got to move the ball. The ball's got to go from side to side. You got to shift that zone. You got to have some cutters. You have to have some movement to make that zone, compress that zone, and attack it. I think the zone made them a little bit passive. Boston got a little bit passive when they saw the zone. But more than anything, they got to really just talk about winning one-on-one battles, staying in front of your guy. How in the world can Bam just get dunk after dunk after dunk in that third quarter? So there's a lot of breakdowns the Celtics can work on. But I think, as everything, it starts with just energy and effort and winning one-on-one battles. You do that, and a lot of good things happen for your team.
And again, Game 3 is going to be Saturday night. You can stay with us for pre- and post-game coverage on NBA TV. But that'll do it for now on Playoff Central Live. If you stay with us all night, I think, we're going to be back for game time. For Jim Jackson and Coach McHale, I'm Kristen Ledlow. We'll see you next time.